AI in Action is brought to you by Alldus International, covering your business's staffing, consulting, and networking needs. Our host brings you the leading minds in AI, sharing their story, their success, and their advice. Focusing on fast-tracking you to the top, AI in Action cuts through the hype to help you kickstart your data science career. To listen to the latest AI in Action podcast, head over to www.alldus.com/podcast or subscribe via iTunes, Stitcher, or Google Podcasts.
You're listening to AI in Action. I'm your host, JP Valentine. Our guest today is Jason Davis. Jason is the co-founder and CEO of Simon Data. Jason, welcome to the show.
Thanks, JP. It's great to be on.
Great. Jason, what I'd like to start is just get a little bit of background of yourself. What got you involved in technology? Some of the roles you've held along the way, leading to the origins of Simon Data.
So my background is as an engineer. In a previous life, I was a machine learning researcher. And this is actually my second venture-backed startup. My previous business was actually bootstrapped when I was finishing my PhD. Where we subsequently received funding and built a business in New York. That business was an ad tech product that was ultimately acquired by Etsy. Really one of the things that I learned through that experience and also my time at Etsy was we had built a tremendous amount of data infrastructure, for multiple applications. Etsy had acquired my previous business to actually deploy some advertising technology that we had developed. So the data infrastructure powered that. It was also leveraged to improve search on Etsy's marketplace, and was also used for other data science application, including recommendation systems and personalization applications and more. One of the big things that we saw there was because how much of a disconnect there was organizationally between the haves and the have-nots when it came to data. The data science team, the engineering team, the data engineering team, folks who understood technology were data rich. And we had really built a tremendous amount of technology and infrastructure and a large volume of data that represented Etsy's entire business. But folks outside of that were not. It was really just tremendously hard to enable, folks within the product organization, folks within the support organization, folks outside of engineering into marketing, to really leverage some of the data investments we had made. And one of the insights we had prior to starting Simon was we built some data applications while at Etsy that really made data accessible. One thing we did was some experimentation tools that made it very easy to understand the effects, of anything from adding a module to the homepage to how you might change some content and email address. And these tools were tremendously successful. Not because the tools were powerful, but because they were able to leverage the data and the investments we were making in data, for folks outside of the data experts who knew how to access the data. And when I look at the marketplace today and the opportunity that we're solving, it really starts with this gap between the haves and the have-nots. Those who are in the weeds and building the technology and have access to the Hadoop and the Snowflake and the Kafka and all the buzzwords that I'm sure you hear on this podcast all the time. Compared to those who maybe know how to write a SQL statement, but not much more than that. So really, the mission for the business at Simon Data starts with this gap. But it really ends with a bigger problem. And that's, when I look at the vision for data in the marketplace, it's all about leveraging it to drive business processes. How can you operate your business more efficiently? And for us, that means, how can you engage your customers more effectively? How can you really make sure that you can use all the data you have and put it in the hands of the folks who actually build customer experiences, and the folks who send emails, the folks who send direct mail, the folks who target ads, the folks who are responsible, for all those customer interactions, and really that is where the vision for our business ends.
Yeah, absolutely. So leading into Simon Data, could you give us a brief overview of your aim for the business, both here and now and going forward, where you see the transition of your services, and also some examples of some business cases where you've had an impact on what the results were?
Yeah, so for us, we've been in market now for about 5 years. The business is about 100 people. We've raised $58 million. And really for us, it's about taking the platform we built and really just bringing it to more customers. And beyond that, one of our big focuses is working with enterprise customers as well. When we sort of think about what success looks like, it starts with this mission of enabling brands to better use their data, and ends with that enablement that transforms customer experiences. You look at one of our longtime customers, a wine marketplace out in California and San Francisco, Vivino. I think they're the largest wine app in the world. You think about a business like Vivino, there's tremendous complexity. You can buy wine in the marketplace. They have daily deals. They have a tremendously cool app where you can take a photo of any wine bottle in the world, and then within half a second it comes back and tells you where you can buy it. Tells you the ratings and everything else. And they have so many different types of customers. The type of customer who wants a daily deal and just wants to buy something, an impulse buy, is a very different type of customer than a wine collector who's searching far and wide for some hard to find Bordeaux. And really the challenge for Vivino is how can you leverage all the rich data they have in their business, to figure out who should receive the daily deals, who's really interested in scanning more wines. When they think about their marketplace, which is the largest wine marketplace in the world, how do you really think about highlighting things within that are interesting and to whom? So really it's a tremendously hard set of problems, and beyond that, they're also deployed across dozens of countries internationally. We've been working with them for several years now, and really have just enabled them to better understand their customers, but moreover, better engage their customers on the back of that.
So great example of a clear business impact to a client who are obviously very happy. It would be good to understand for people listening and also prospective clients, both the platform and the services side of your business, so they can sort of visualize the impact you could have to their organization. Right.
Certainly when we look at the business, 90% of our revenue and our focus as the business is on the product and the platform. Our services is a critical piece of that, but at the end of the day, it's really the technology that drives the value. For listeners of this podcast who are probably a bit more technical, one of the sources of inspiration for the platform is actually a product like a Tableau or a Looker. Something that actually just sits on top of your data, integrates natively. But instead of building charts and graphs and visualizations, instead can actually define segments of customers and then integrate into downstream channels to send emails and to target ads and more. The surface area of the product, when you get into the nitty-gritty, there's tremendous complexity around maintaining state of who's in a segment, who's in an audience, and who's not. There's tremendous complexity around how we manage content and personalization. When we look at the applications and the problems we solve, it's you really need to think about all the idiosyncrasies and the inputs that go into engaging a customer, which includes who gets the message, but also what's in the message, and how do you think about those pieces of content and all the details required therein.
Here at Alldus, we want to make the hiring process easier for all. Whether you're an employer or an aspiring employee, we have the service for you. For full-time work, Alldus will partner with you to find the best person for the position. Using both our network and our rigorous qualification process, we ensure that only the best talent is shortlisted. We will manage the process and work with you to select our most suitable candidate for your organisation. We also offer excellent temp hiring services. At Alldus, we provide a great opportunity to help you and our candidate make the right choice. The contract period is one long interview for your full-time opening, and the extended experience with our consultant helps you make the best decision. Alldus International is here to quickly help you find the best AI candidate. Our experts stay in close contact with our consultants throughout the duration of the contract, ensuring they have everything they need to get the job done.
I want to switch gears slightly to look internally. It would be great to understand the journey of building the business from the entrepreneurial side, some of the challenges you faced along the way, and what it is you've looked for in building a team with a good mix of data scientists, engineers, machine learning engineers, and yeah, just some insight of the journey from starting point to where you guys are now.
Right. I mean, my first piece of advice to all entrepreneurs, is that, people are your most important asset. So I've just been tremendously lucky to have a CTO, who's, I have two co-founders. One is technical, our CTO. I also have a non-technical co-founder who runs our go-to-market effort. But on the technical side, I've been working with our CTO now for 17 years. And this is someone who I trust tremendously, who's tremendously easy to work with, but is also the most capable engineer I've ever worked with in my career. And that really for us set a tone for building the organization. On the product side, on the market opportunity side, I think we had a vision. We went out to market with the simplest instantiation of that vision. We were able to convince some early customers that the vision was great and that there was enough value in the initial pilot to give us a little bit of money. And then we've just been building on the back of that for 5 years. Today we have an engineering org which is about half the size of the business, and really, just make tremendous investments there across, core data infrastructure, security, the application tier, data science, and more.
It's an amazing journey thus far. A lot of successes along the way. It would be good to get some further insight on what makes an engineer or a data scientist special to you. You're obviously based Lower Manhattan, New York City, hyper competitive market, but you've been able to consistently grow the business with 50% of the staff being engineers. So, two things. What makes an engineer stand out to you, but moreover, what is it about Simon Data that the engineers enjoy?
Right. So the first thing I'll say is that we've actually cheated a little bit here. So our CTO is based out of Austin, Texas. And in building our team, we actually really set out on day one, to build a team and also a culture that supports distributed work. So in building our engineering organization, a large fraction of that, more than 50%, is outside of New York. DC, Florida, Texas, Boston, Montreal, Colorado, all over the country. California, Oregon, I could name all the states, but we'll run out of time here. So that's number one. But number two is look, earlier in my career, I'd over-indexed for raw intelligence. And here it's really about, I've sort of really appreciated that it's all about finding folks that are really just passionate about solving a common problem, working together, and also just adhering to our values as an organization. So I make material investments in making those values very clear. We socialize them, starting with the first screen with our recruiters, and we really make sure that they're a priority. In conversation throughout the entire hiring process, and then of course downstream, for folks on day one and beyond.
So what stands out there is candidate experience, and from first impression right the way throughout the process to day one of being employed, which I think is often underestimated but vitally important. And for the companies who get it right, they grow fast, and you guys are a perfect example of that.
100%, and being a software as a service business, that orientation to candidate experience is the same kind of DNA that we impart in our customers. So during pre-sales and helping the market and customers be educated around our value, we really make sure that's as best of an experience as possible. And then of course in onboarding and that first 90 days, really making sure that we do everything possible to make it as successful as possible.
Excellent. What do you enjoy most about your role? I mean, this is your second go of building a business. Obviously, lots of challenges, but you've got to love what you do, which I'm sure you do. So it'd be good to understand what drives you, particularly in the when those challenging days and weeks come up.
Right. I mean, for me, it's all about the people, and I really enjoy when things get tough. And solving the hardest problems with the smartest people. Who know how to have conversations, who know how to communicate, who love healthy debate, who while we don't always agree with, have an orientation of just intense collaboration and vision for the end of the road. When I sort of reflect on our values as a business, for me the most critical value is education. Because it's something I know I can leave behind for everyone. Regardless of where the business ends up, if we IPO, if we exit, any whatever the outcome of where we are, I know that we can really give everyone at this business, a tremendous opportunity and a tremendous platform to learn as much as possible.
Amazing. What are you most excited about the future of Simon Data? Is there any particular goal or something that's coming down the line, whether it's the evolution of this space that you look forward to the most?
Right. I mean, for me, again, it's more about the process than the outcome. But that being said, look, I think we're in a tremendous place to drive material disruption. Getting back to what we do, from a product and a platform perspective, I sort of see us as a third wave of data companies. Sort of the first, sort of phase one of data, I think, is aggregation. You look at folks like Snowflake, last movers, everyone has Snowflake, and I think brands today and companies today, they know how to aggregate their data. Phase two really is one of business intelligence analytics. I think there's maturation there. Tableau, Looker, both acquired last year, big exits, and I think businesses today know how to analyze their data. But still, if you look at our business is data-driven. Our non-technical stakeholders outside of engineering and data, can they access Snowflake in a fluid way? Can they access real-time streaming systems in an accessible way? The answer is no. So when I look at the opportunity in front of us, I think it really represents one of massive disruption, a complete change in the way business processes work, the way organizations are structured, and the way brands are able to, for us, really completely change and enhance their customer experiences.
Just three really important pieces of advice there. I hope people picked up on. I certainly did. Finishing them finally on some advice for future Simon Data candidates. You've interviewed a lot of people, you've hired a lot of people over not just this business but your previous business. What are the main things that you look for when screening a candidate, and is there any common denominators that you've noticed between engineers, regardless of level, that will make somebody stand out?
Right. I mean, again, in the interview process, I always lean into one of our core values that we call building strategically. And it's this sort of hybrid mindset of thinking about how to architect a system and having a huge vision, a 2, 3, 4, 5 year vision, but also asking pragmatically, how can I show value in a week or two? If the vision's not going to come to fruition, how can I fail fast in a couple of months? And how am I really thinking about getting from point A to point B? Because oftentimes the best way to get from A to B is not a straight line. It's a very circuitous route, that along the way permits the business to maybe make some revenue or to learn a few things, or maybe has to accommodate issues and considerations that came up that weren't expected. So it's really one of asking, how does an individual orient to this? How is their experience mapped to this? And behaviorally and emotionally, how do they really think through these kinds of problems?
Really useful. Jason, listen, thank you very much for your time. This has been incredibly insightful. It's incredible what you guys have been doing. I think anyone listening to this should keep an eye on Simon Data and this space for further disruption. Thank you very much for your time.
Thanks, JP.
AI in Action is brought to you by Alldus International, covering your business's staffing, consulting, and networking needs. Alldus offer an exec search program. Alldus can help you discover how data science and AI can transform your company. With our unrivaled network of C-suite executives and senior AI professionals, we offer retained search services across the US and Europe. Get the Alldus advantage. Become a member of the Alldus community and enjoy some of the following: AI meetups. Once a month, our community gathers to listen to some of the leading experts in the world of data science and AI. Our speakers come from all over the world, including Dublin, Boston, and Frankfurt. We also have our AI mentors. Our experts will provide mentoring to Alldus members. And don't forget our AI in Action podcast. Each week we have guests from all over the world talking us through their education, career, and more. Become an Alldus member and get the Alldus advantage. For more information and to sign up for our newsletter, log on to www.alldus.com. That's www.alldus.com. Alldus International, empowering through AI.